The Things We All Carry is a podcast about first responders and their stories surrounding trauma on the job. The intention of this podcast is to raise awareness and share meaningful conversation around a subject often viewed as taboo or simply ignored. Be aware this content may be graphic and it is real. It may not be suitable for children or adults triggered by this subject matter.
Welcome back to The Things We All Carry. I'm back outside today doing another intro for you. This is going to be episode 123. I just got done with a workout, so pardon a little bit of sweat. I'm going to get ready to get in a cold plunge here and shock my system a little bit. You know, it's been a wild weekend with all the news coming out of Washington, and they going into last week with the assassination attempt, and then Biden dropping out, and there's chaos going around, and I keep thinking, man, wouldn't it be nice to stop living in these unprecedented times? And I don't know. We've got a lot going on, and so I automatically turn to self-care and how do we take care of ourselves in these moments? Because these are the things that we talk about. That we have the calls, we have the traumas, we have everything that we deal with on the job. But these are some of the things off the job that we're also collecting that we have to deal with, and it is dealing with it because a little bit of chaos going on. I mean, at times it's entertaining, but Jesus, let's stop. Let's find some. Let's find some ground where we all can just relax and start to move forward, and not just this backbiting and this fighting and this negativity and nastiness. And it's on both sides. I'm fucking tired of it. I'm tired of both sides. I have been for years. And my friend over there at Behind the Shield 911 made a post over the weekend talking about how neither side has our best interests at heart. And James Gearing was correct. Neither side has our best interests at heart. So we have to take care of ourselves. That's what we have to do. We have to make sure we make time to take care of ourselves. And we could do it by things with eating right, working out, cold plunges, meditation. I talked to a gentleman, and I'm going to get his page completely wrong, but I talked to a gentleman today, and it's all about mindfulness and setting recruits up for success as they go through their career. And I talked to Brad Schreifer over the weekend, and he's a former guest of mine, and he was saying the same thing. How do we get to people before they need mental health help, before they need a therapist? And I'll argue that we always need a therapist because there's always going to be something that we need to talk about. But man, we have to start getting to these recruit classes. We have to start getting to the young kids or like I said, the recruit classes as they're going through and talking about these things and saying, hey, it's going to be okay. You have to ask for help because you're going to need it. It's okay to cliche as it is. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. We're still not teaching that. We're not teaching it preemptively. We're teaching it reactively. And it's not nearly as successful as it might be if we teach it preemptively. And so it's something that we all need to get on board with, whether it's talking to your rookie or talking to your crew or talking to a recruit class. We have to get on board with preemptive care, taking care of yourself, treating your body right, treating your mind right, treating your spirit right. Take your time off, take leave, don't work a ton of overtime. Don't go out on your days off and get plastered. Find alternative methods, find healthier methods to take care of yourself. And I know some of you are out there thinking I'm preaching about it, but it's time. That's what we have to do. We are taking on more volume than we were before. In any case, COVID brought this whole kind of change, this revolution to how we did care. We picked up volume. We picked up a higher volume of call during COVID, and it hasn't stopped. And matter of fact, in today's episode, we talk about it. We talk about budget cuts and how it affected Dayton, Ohio. And they went from 19 apparatus and 400 firefighters to only 11 apparatus getting out in a day. And the call volume went up as they did it. So it stressed and stretched them thin as can be. And once you do that, municipalities have a tendency to go, wow, they can do it, so there's no need to replace that. Once you go from four-person staff under an engine to 3, and you see you get the job done safely, they go, oh, we can keep doing it. We can save money by doing that. And it is all a political game. And Again, it goes back to both sides. Neither side has our interests at heart. Both sides have their bottom line and their dollar at heart. I stand by that, and I always will. We live in damn near a failed state right now, and we need to take care of ourselves as individuals and as families. So you need to find a way to get out, get some sun, get some exercise, get some good food, get some water, all the basics, and build off those basics. Add some yoga, add some mindfulness, add a cold plunge, add a sauna, add all the things that those in this circle preach about. It's valuable, it's so valuable. It will make a world of difference. It's not a cure. It's not a panacea. It's not a magic bullet. It's not going to cure everything overnight, but it's going to help you as you go throughout your day-to-day life. And if you're able to take things without getting angry or without getting overstimulated or without getting anxious, that makes a hell of a difference in your life long-term, not just short-term and not just day-to-day. So you affect how you take things in a minute. That extrapolates to the day, that extrapolates to the week, to the month, to the year, so on. And that's what we have to do. Self-care is the answer. Take care of yourself, and then the future is going to be a lot easier for you. And you're going to be able to react to these traumas in a much better manner, a much healthier manner. And that really is the key. How do we prevent a negative or maladaptive reaction to these traumas? This is what we need to do. It's the small things, add them in, work on them, build it up, and you'll find that your resilience rises. And all of a sudden, the little things that used to set you off, the guy cutting you off in traffic, you give the finger to in the past, you let it go because it's not important. He's the one that's going to be amped up and ramped up and act like an asshole. No reason for us to. It doesn't do us any good. It brings us just a bunch of negativity, raises your blood pressure, heart rate. Nothing good comes from it. Do the little things. Build the little things in so your resilience is better and your reactions are better. I promise you, at the end of the day, it will benefit you in the long run. This week's guest is somebody who's quickly kind of become a friend of mine, and we've never really met in person, and I hope to do that this fall in Ohio. He is a retired firefighter and now an author, and his book is Overcoming Tuesday. His name is Jim Burneka, and he is, I think, a fascinating dude. He's got a dry sense of humor. He's got a wicked little sense of humor. I can promise you this. He's the only guest I've ever had send me a picture of Uranus. And I had to laugh at it, and I still make fun of him to today about it. The name of the book is Overcoming Tuesday, and it's easy because it's easy to explain why, and he does in a book, but he says, someone was asked about, everything he sees, and he goes, but that's just Tuesday. For us, that's just a Tuesday. All the drama and all the trauma that we see, that's just a Tuesday. And it is, on this job, it's just a Tuesday. And so for him, that's where that came from, Overcoming Tuesday. So he's overcoming all that trauma that he experienced as a firefighter in Dayton, and all the ancillary and extra stuff that I just spoke about, the budget cuts and the interaction between government and union and union and department, and how he had to do some battle, and it really affected him. And then at the end, we get into a really interesting part of it. We talk about a brain scan that he took, and it's the brain scan basically lights up what parts of the brain are active, underactive, overactive. And he texted me like the next day. He goes, dude, I can't believe it. I've been out for over 2.5 years. I haven't run a call for 2.5 years, and my fight or flight is still flaring up. It's active, it's overactive, and it's just off the charts. And so we talk about his brain scan. We talk about the path he's taking after the brain scan to make some improvement. And this is going to tie into another episode that I did with Dr. Brooke Bartlett, where we talk about the parts of the brain that are affected physically by trauma. And so these all tie in pretty well together. So I'm excited to have these episodes come out near each other. So, like I said, welcome to episode 123 of The Things We All Carry. I hope you sit back, take a listen, and let me know what you think. I mean it. I love hearing from you guys. I don't care if you even writing me a message or say, hey man, I think you need to clean this up or fix this. I need to hear it. If it's something positive, I want to hear that too, but I need to hear all of it. So take some time, find me. I'm responsive. I love talking with people. I love going back and forth. And who knows, maybe you'll end up on the show in a conversation with me. All right. Y'all take care of yourselves. Peace. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Things We All Carry. I was going to come up with a crazy intro for this gentleman. You know, he said something about the undisputed, undefeated, but we're going to skip it and go, hey, I got Jim from Ohio on the line. So, Jim, how are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you in Ohio?
I'm in exotic Beaver Creek, Ohio. Not really that exotic. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. Well, exotic sounds a hell of a lot better than
It's all right.
Beaver Creek. It's okay.
It's all right. No, it's good. And I'm doing well. Let's see.
I mean, you just got back from a cruise, so I hope you're
I did.
relaxed
I did.
and kind of just chilling
I
out a little
was
bit.
we swam with the dolphins, which if you've never done that before, you absolutely should. I even kind of made out with the dolphin, like right in front of my wife.
I was
Like,
gonna say, you said your wife was there too, so makes it even
Yeah.
hotter.
I mean, I know what, apparently she's open to that. So, uh, no, yeah, we went on a cruise. That was the first cruise. Didn't get seasick. That was good. I
That
ate,
is a
uh,
plus.
w- way too much food. Um, did a little bit of, snorkeling. I saw the highlight of the snorkeling was, seeing finding a puffer fish.
Okay, yeah.
Uh, and that was it. It was just a nice break. Just get away from exotic Beaver Creek, Ohio.
Well, you had one more moment on that vacation that was memorable to me. I mean, you did send me a picture of your anus, so that was a plus.
I did. That's you had to see that. You're like, this dude is random as hell, which is true. We took the cruise out of Port Canaveral, and right there by Port Canaveral is the Kennedy Space Center.
Yeah.
And so we went there, as soon as we got off the boat, we went there and, checked out that place, and that was cool. I went there when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and wow, that place has changed a bunch, and, they've got one of the space shuttles there. They have Atlantis, which was really cool to see. We also even got to do a little, meet and greet with, an astronaut.
That's cool.
My oldest got to ask a question, and yeah, and I took a picture by You're My Favorite Planet,
Yeah. So
Uranus.
I officially got a picture of your anus, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
It was much larger than I ever expected. So we'll just leave it at that. Little
like
side
chicken.
note. I did one cruise and it also left out of Cape Canaveral or Port Canaveral at that spot. And it was scheduled to go out on the same day as a shuttle launch. And that was pretty cool because instead of doing anything, we went straight to the top deck and watched the shuttle launch at the same time the cruise ship was leaving.
That'd been really cool.
And then I found out that people were more concerned with the endless soft serve ice cream than the shuttle launch. So, and there was a lot of room on the top deck and there wasn't so much room in the dining room already. So
Sounds about
they
right.
missed it, you know? And another side note that I grew up about 40 minutes from that spot. And I used to watch the shuttle launches from my backyard and from the school and happened to see the Challenger disaster live while I was in school. So that was memorable to say the least.
I totally it's funny you bring that up. I remember that as well. I was in first grade, and I remember them bringing in because you wheel the TV in.
Yeah.
We're that old,
Hey, watch this.
and yeah, first grade, and so the astronaut that we met and were able to ask questions to, she was the backup to the teacher
Oh, Sally
on the
Ride.
Challenger, and went up about 10 years later. She was actually finally selected and went up because she was a teacher too, which was really neat. So yeah, and it's weird memories, like, right? I remember that like vividly.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything else about first grade or probably anything else really, hardly at all back then, but I remember that. That's
Well,
pretty crazy.
I'm gonna date myself even more because I definitely wasn't in first grade. I was in high school when that happened. So yeah, it was quite because I remember I had an after school job and that was all we could talk about. I was bagging groceries at a grocery store, and that's all anybody could talk about was, obviously it affected us so greatly. We had so many people that actually worked on the program. That's why we moved to Florida because my dad worked on that program. So it was an interesting time. That's for damn sure. So what was the last song you heard, sir? Let's get that out of the way real fast.
I listened to this is going to sound funny. I listened to a new album from Johnny Cash.
Oh yeah. No, I know exactly the one.
Yeah. So I think it just came out last week.
It was last Friday. Yeah.
And I can't tell you off the top of my head any of the song titles or anything. It was just I listened to it as I mowed, and you know, so I just play and just listened, and I didn't know. I mean, they were all original songs as far as I could tell. I don't think any of them were covers, like a lot of what his American record stuff was. So I didn't know any of the songs, but like just hearing his voice, hearing new things, was just tremendous. I don't know. I mean, there's something about that guy, his voice, what he sings about. I just dig. I'm a big fan.
Well, there's an Ohio connection to the album too, by the way, because Dan Auerbach of the Keys plays on one of those songs.
Okay, yeah.
No, there you go. We'll bring it all back together for you. Yeah,
yeah. So, and I remember reading a little bit like, so it was songs that he sang on, but the music was done and so brought in, you know, current artists to basically do the backing, you know, instrumentals.
Yeah, it's a kind of cool idea because, you know, there are many artists that have those catalog of ideas or songs that just didn't make the cut, but now, yeah, they're releasing them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I'm still want to know what's in Prince's, you know, basement.
Oh yeah.
Or,
Oh my goodness. Could you imagine?
you know, I've heard just the legends of all the copies of everything that he did, and I don't know if it'll ever see the day of light.
That guy's a genius. He was a genius. So it's unfortunately another one that was gone well before its time. So, but you grew up in Ohio.
I'll tell you one song. I want to say this too. So I'm kind of late to the game on some people, right? And so this dude, you probably heard of him, named the Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
And man, I heard this song and I was like, that son of a bitch, like this is me. And I know you probably have those songs too, and the listeners, viewers, they have them too. But the I Am Not Okay, holy shit! Like when I actually listen to the lyrics, I'm like, that was fucking me to a T.
Right.
To a T, that was me. To the point in which I was like, you know what? Like, when I go out and talk, like that needs to be my intro.
That'd be your walk-up song.
My walk-up song. That's right.
You grew up in Ohio though, correct?
I did.
And grew up in exotic Beaver Creek?
Well, I lived in the city of Dayton. Is where I grew up. Yeah. So Beaver Creek is just a suburb of Dayton.
Okay. So what's childhood like? And I kind of I'm a let the audience know, I've kind of gotten your playbook because I read your book and we're going to talk about that a little bit, but I'll pimp it out a little bit for you. Overcoming Tuesday is the name of the book. And, if you've ever spent some time as a firefighter or first responder and you've experienced a couple of calls, you can relate to this book. So I'm going to have a giveaway. I bought 2 copies, so I'm going to give one away to a follower and a listener, and we'll figure out how to do that. But, so what was childhood like for those of us who haven't read the book and don't know about you?
Sure. I was the oldest. I've got 2 younger sisters. The next sister is Hillary was the co-author of my book. She actually, I basically told her all the stories and she wrote them out and made sense of it.
That's the easiest way ever to write a book. I love it.
Oh, it worked out really well. I mean, she knows her stuff. She's been a published author before, so doing this, I think it just made sense. And then my youngest sister, you know, she's works with the court system here in Montgomery County in Dayton. So we've all actually, I think my parents should be proud. We're all pretty successful, you know. somehow, some way. My mom was a special ed teacher, which explains so much, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then my dad was, man, hit about everything. Sold life insurance here and there. And then really at the end of his kind of work career was I mean, he was, I guess you could just say he was a salesman, whatever he was selling, but
Right.
sold a lot of cars, a lot of cars. And that car business is be, can be rough. Um, he would, to kind of explain, like just to share how um inconsistent he was of holding a job. He actually, like, in whatever his vehicle was, he'd have a box in there,
Mm.
and it was to load his shit up if he got fired or quit. He'd pack his shit up and go on to the next one, and then go on the next one, so on and so forth. I mean, I've driven so many different brands of cars, and it's really because I was just buying whatever he was selling.
Right.
So it was never like I never was just a Chevy guy. It was,
Right.
no, I'm a Jeep guy, or no, I'm a Ford guy, like whatever he was selling. So he was just all over the place. And then and I would say early on, pretty active, like with us and sports and coaching. And man, as I grew up and years went on, he just stopped doing that. He was working a lot of hours, and he was also spending a lot of time at the neighborhood watering hole,
Yeah.
a lot of time. And it was to the point in which, uh, I would maybe see him on his day off and late at night. He would, like, when everybody was going to bed, that's when he was coming in. So he wasn't around as much as he probably should have. Um, uh, and I realized he made that choice back then to go there and hang out with his friends and do whatever instead of hang out with us. And I think that really caught up to me later on. I felt the abandoned, like he chose them over us. Um, right or wrong, that's how I felt. Now I know, having more insight, and learning about a lot of this stuff. I mean, I realized that he was suffering with his own depression
Yeah.
as well, and that's kind of, I don't think he was happy with how things turned out, in his life and the decisions he's made, and I think he lived with a lot of that regret, and that was his way of coping with it. Is just, I think that was his way of numbing stuff.
It's kind of
Um,
ironic how we reframe our parents as we get older and we become more like our parents. And I don't mean more like them as in you don't spend time with your kids, but more like them in the way of the world weighing you down a little bit and how you see that reaction now. And you see them in that relationship through a different lens because you have to.
and it was experience, maybe slash a little bit of maturity that actually kind of made me see his vantage point some. And the other thing too, I think that helps is he's not that way now. He doesn't drink, and he is become an amazing grandparent. Um, a lot of the stuff that I missed out on, my kids are not missing out on.
Right.
So it's been good. He's at all sporting events, and he's still, I mean, I'm gonna say every day, but probably every other day I'm talking to him and I'm getting advice or whatever. So, I mean, I would say it all worked out in the end, but it was rough growing up. It was rough not having him really around, and when he was around too, I was a little asshole, and he'd come home, and my mom would be, she'd had enough,
Yeah.
and he's trying to, pick up pieces. Like, that didn't work out well because it's like, now you make an appearance, now you want to be involved,
Right.
and that just, I think, made things even worse. And it got physical a couple times. Um, And I kind of saw the writing on the wall that I needed to move out as soon as I possibly could. Otherwise, I'm going to get kicked out. Like it's
Right.
going to happen. So it was smart to just actually plan something in advance and actually move out. So the day I graduated high school was the day I moved in with a few other friends, and that was fun, first of all. But
Yeah. I can
uh,
imagine.
having that time away, I think was really when a lot of healing took place and things got better with some space and not really being under their house and under their rules anymore. And somehow I think against all odds, things actually worked out. Like I actually got on the fire department and, maintained a job for, you know, 22 and a half years, which was a lot longer than any of my dad's jobs. So,
Well, here's a question, and it kind of pops into my head from that conversation right there. You said that with some space and not living with their rules, you got better. So how does then I'm going to extrapolate from there, and I'm going to say, okay, so you didn't like the rules. Was it you didn't like their rules, or you don't like rules?
their rules.
Okay.
I probably don't like really any rules, but definitely their rules. No, I
Well,
it just I think I needed that space to just kind of grow up and mature. And living in that house, although it was fun, it was two different worlds because there was four of us. There's one and myself actually went to school, and we were working towards our career and bettering ourselves, and then
mhm.
the other two guys just screwed off and had their fun, but like always had fun. We're never serious,
Right.
and the two of us that did study and do things, like we've been successful, and the other two like are still struggling to this day.
Hey guys, quick break right here just to check in and thank each of you for listening to the show. Your support has been paramount, and I appreciate all of you. I have one request, though. I need you to share the show with everyone you know. Help me get the word out and spread these stories as far and as wide as we can. While you're at it, please leave a review of the show wherever you happen to listen. Feel free to reach out to me at any time to share your story, to talk, or to pass on suggestions. Let's get on with the rest of the show.
So
So what leads you? What do you study? Because you're graduated from high school, right? You say
yeah,
you moved out the day you graduated, and you say where did you go to school then, and what did you
I
choose to do?
I went to Sinclair, which is our community college, and I took level one firefighting.
Okay, so it was always focused towards the
And
fire
once
department.
Yeah, and once I got on part time, and from there on, I didn't have to pay for schooling again. Like everything was paid for. As I worked on different departments and stuff, and that was just part of it. So I was part time at two places for about a year and a half, and then Dayton, the call from them to be, a career, and started their academy in it'll be January of 2001.
So tell me a little bit about Dayton and what's it like?
Ooh. So, inner city department, around 140, citizens. Um, we were actually way back in the day in the 60s, we were even a bigger city, like about a quarter million people, a lot of industry there and slowly away. And then a lot of people as well moved to the suburbs of any other city. I could tell you when I started there, there was 400 firefighters, um, 19 fire apparatus on the street every day. I mean, it was known like they were aggressive firefighters, like they were good at what they did. So it was like, yeah, that was around here. That's where you wanted to go. That's where the action was. That was kind of the pinnacle. And it was shortly after I got on that we started just having massive budget cuts. And I know everybody, from everywhere, all around, got cut in the 2000s. Ours seemed to go a little bit earlier before everybody else, but we went from those 19 fire apparatus, 400 people to 300 people, 11 fire apparatus a day. And by the
Jesus.
way, our runs kept going
Yeah.
up.
I was going to say
So
nothing changes on the run side.
it was a constant career of doing more with less and just getting the job done because we were good and we had a little bit of luck sprinkled in there.
Well, luck always helps, obviously. I mean, you need some somewhere. And I think most of us have experienced luck on the job. So
Yeah, for sure.
when you join Dayton, how's that go? Does it go smoothly? Is it something that you just take like a fish to water kind of thing?
Oh, man. Well, oh, I remember, I mean, that first day of rookie school, it's actually my buddy Rod kicked in that door and yelled at everybody to get on their feet. And I wasn't in the military, so I remember going home going, "What the hell did I get myself into? Like, whoa, it's way too much." And am I really ready for this? And again, at this point, I'm a punk 21-year-old kid, and I got through it. But I mean, that drill was legit for sure. Mentally, like I always, this is always funny to me. I had a girlfriend at the time, and about halfway through drill school, she was like, "I enough attention. You're not doing anything with me." Like, and she broke things off with me. And by the way, she broke things off. Like we went for a walk in a park. So we're like in the middle of these woods, and that's when she decides to break up with somebody. And like, it was so awkward because, like, now I get to walk back with you and, like, we
Yeah,
drove
exactly.
together. Like, so, like, if you're gonna break up with somebody, like, don't do that. That just makes it weird. But, and I'm telling her, like, "This is just temporary.
Right.
I get through these next few weeks, and I don't have all the time, but I've gotta focus on this." And it all worked out. Like, better off, but, like, that kind of, that made it harder for sure, dealing with that too during that, but, getting out, graduating, and actually going into the street and working, it was awesome. I ended up getting put at the station that was, I mean, no exaggeration, 2 weeks from 2 blocks from my house. I mean, it was right there. I thought initially it was a good thing that I'm like, I know this area, this neighborhood. I mean, like, this is perfect. And what I didn't think about, of course, was, yeah, I know this place. That means I also know all the people.
Yeah.
And and that that was uh rough. But I didn't even, again, at that point in time, I wasn't thinking anything about that at all.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of those points where people don't add much credence to it until they actually do it. You run where you run, you collect these memories. Not only are you seeing the people that you know if you live in the neighborhood, but you're also then day to day when you're not at work, you're going, okay, I did CPR here, I did this here, there was a shooting there was an overdose here, and everything has a dark memento attached to it. And I
And
don't
it
think we give enough credit to that as almost that secondary kind of trauma. And I know I'm not using that properly, but I think it's kind of the easiest way to explain it.
No, I think that's fair. And I mean, the other thing that was difficult back then was we had a residency rule. So if you worked for the city of Dayton, you had to live in the city of Dayton. So I was there
Yeah.
all the time, and
Yep.
I lived in the same district too. So it was nonstop. And then if I'll tell you this, and I don't know if you feel this way or not, but I I get now why so many retirees move away,
Yeah.
move completely away, different state, whatever. It's because, like, and I get it because I avoid the city unless I have to go there. I don't go in there.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like what you said. Every corner I see ghost.
Mm-hmm.
There's a memory of something almost everywhere throughout that entire city. 22 years of being there. Um, so I get it. I don't think I got it while I was doing it, but being removed, like I've noticed just how, like, I just don't want to even go there and deal with it. I'm not
Yeah.
going to move. We've got so much family here. Like, I don't think we'll ever actually move from this area. But if I could do stuff in a different suburb, then that's what I'm doing.
It's interesting you say that because I moved south of where I worked and county wise, and I don't often go into the county where I did run for 11 years. And when I do, each avenue in, I can tell you someone who died on those roads right at the either into the county south of it or just into the county I worked in. I can tell you, I can identify, oh, this person died here, that person died there, that person died there, and it's all from accidents. But I can identify it very easily because that's what we do, you know? So it does stay with you like that. It's interesting and to have it your hometown and where you grew up and you know it so well. Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, that was me. And it's a still a big city. Think about all the volunteer firefighters,
Hmm.
small town, who are running on people that they definitely know,
Right.
and there's no escape.
Yeah.
So I feel for them too. So it's, you know,
I,
yeah, I just get it. Like at some point, maybe later on, maybe we will move. But I just know right now, I avoid.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's the one way that you can actually make sure that you don't have something that arises from it.
Right.
So I don't tend to glorify trauma on this job in this show. We talk about it because it's a necessary part of talking about how, what our story is, because without that trauma, there really isn't a story about how you lived your life as a firefighter, correct? So, I'm going to ask you maybe explain a couple of these situations through the book. I'm not going to go through because I said earlier I've got it dog-eared in different passages, and I think I texted you as I was reading it. I was like, a couple of things, but let's talk about that first dose of reality, if you don't mind.
First dose of reality. I'm trying to even. Oh, the pediatric
Yeah,
um, fire.
yeah,
Yeah, man. Uh it's still insane to think about. Like, you're coddled. You're left on probation for 6 months when you get in a firehouse there in Dayton, and you're can't work any overtimes. You work with your crew, and that's it. And then, but 6 months passes, and magically, like, now all of a sudden, you can get detailed in different stations. You
yeah,
can go work overtime, and they go, okay, you made this far. I guess you're good. And so I worked overtime on the west side, and it was a fellow rookie with me on the back, and we get called in for a fire, and um, so both of us, we know we're going to be on the line, and it's on his side, so he's on a nozzle, and as we're going in the house, we see a mother outside, and she's telling us her baby's upstairs, and so we go upstairs, and it's fire when the whole room is just lit up, and he was able to put it out quick and get a good stop, and sure enough, there's little baby on the bed, and it was just weird because I remember us finding it, and our officer, the lieutenant that's supposed to be on, backing us up, he wasn't backing us up. I don't know where the hell he was. So it's
mm,
just, you know, 21, 22-year-old kids up there in this room that we just put out. And here's an infant just lying on bed, and there was nothing that we could do, but I mean, it was just surreal of just kind of just standing there and looking at thing and like, now what? And not having anybody around to say, what do we do now? It was, um, and that was kind of like the whole, really like, all right, this shit is real. And that was again, and there's some memories that I don't remember anything, but like I can remember that whole room still to this day. It's crazy, how our memories can work. Um, but that was the start of just so much other stuff as well. Other fatal fires, and I mean, it never stopped. It's still going on. Like there's still fucked up calls every single day, and it's this horrible lottery that we play, and you know somebody gets picked and they get to see this nasty, nasty shit. And you just hope that your number doesn't come up for a lot of this stuff. But then you feel bad for the people that do. Uh, and here's the other thing though, too. Like, I don't know if you felt like this or not, but seeing, especially early on, seeing trauma, like I wanted to see everything, like
Yeah.
show it all to me. Like even if the medic's already been in there and they've already said, already proclaimed it, they're dead. Um, I still wanted to see. And at some
Yeah.
point, and I don't know when or why or how, but there was definitely a change in me, which I was like, I'm good. I don't need to see this shit anymore. Like, I'll take your word for it. Like, I understood if there was a job, like if I was the medic and I had, to, you know, um, say they were dead, then that's one thing. But if I wasn't that guy, I don't need to see it. I'm good.
It's
Did you
funny
did
you,
you
you
have any moment like that?
well, I was going to say I agree with you because there was a time where I don't know when or how or why it happened, but I did switch a flip and I flipped a switch. Excuse me. I can't speak English. And I went, no, I don't need to see it anymore. I've seen enough, and I don't know if it's because in my head, I've got, oh, I've seen a dead body in this A way, B way, C way, D way. I don't know if it's because I've seen bodies in a number of ways and I don't think there's anything new to see, or my brain went, hey, dickhead, stop. And I don't know when it was. It's like, was it after the 5th or 6th or 7th hanging? I don't know. When was it? I really don't know, but I do know that I stopped doing that, and I can't identify the why.
Yeah.
I didn't make a conscious decision to say, "No, I'm done." I just realized that one day we were on a scene and someone said something. I was like, "No, I don't think I need to. I'm good. Thanks." And
Yeah, and I don't.
it was before all the podcast and all that. So it happened, probably midway through the career, maybe 3/4 of the way through. I'm not sure. But no, I just knew that, that body laying on the street, I don't need to stand there and stand over it.
Yeah, and I don't know why either, but whatever the reason is, I'm glad because it certainly, I think, saved me a lot more trauma that I had to deal with.
Right. There's a macabre call one time I was running a heavy rescue and we got banged out on a call. The engine wasn't in quarters and our medic unit wasn't in quarters. So we were first on the scene of this, they thought it was a stoppage, what we call a stoppage in our county. So a CPR, and we get on scene and this woman's obviously dead. She obviously had been ill leading up to her death, but turns out she had just gone outside to get a breath of fresh air. Well, and kind of enjoy the sun. Well, she picked that time as the perfect time to die, and she died on this bench in front of her house, and there was nothing we could do, but the neighborhood kids were going up and down the street, and cops still had to come take a picture of this body, and they were like, "We can't let the kids see this body," and we couldn't cover it because they didn't know if it was a crime scene, which it wasn't. So we stood there with the sheet, 2 of us, and held a sheet in front of her while we stood there next to the body, and of course, we made jokes about it because that's what we do as firefighters, but I realized how macabre that is and how stupid it was to do something like that. As simple as how close and long can you stand with a dead body? And this was natural cause. It was just, but there was no need for us to do that.
Yeah, but it sounds like something I would have done too.
Right.
And just like you, I would have somehow found a humor in it,
Right.
and that was how I coped with it, and get back to the station and fall back asleep, or
Well, the
you
reason
know,
we found humor was just to see if we could make each other laugh while we're sitting there holding the fucking sheet in front of a dead person, which is so disrespectful, but we did it.
you know, we talk a lot in the fire service is so much better now about reducing our exposure to carcinogens because we know how just plentiful
Right.
cancer is. We know our increased risk for
Mhm.
that. But nobody's really talked about reducing our exposures to traumatic events. Like we've never, there's never been anybody that's like, really, as far as I know, that's really made the statement of like, hey, if you don't need to see shit, don't see shit.
Right.
Like limit your exposure. Like the same mentality for cancer should be with all these other EMS traumatic events. Like if you have to participate, participate. That's your job.
Right.
But if you are not the one calling it, then like save yourself.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Things We All Carry. Head over to the website, thethingsweallcarry.com for show notes, resources, and to sign up for the newsletter. Until next week, take care of yourselves and remember to check in on each other.